How's it going, y'all? Jack Mycologist back here with another video. Today we're going to be talking about SAB etiquette. If you don't know what a SAB is, it's a stale air box. The premise of an SAB is having an enclosed space, specifically with armholes, where you can work with agar, work with liquid culture, work with spores, and have a nice still air, literally still air box, where there's not much air movement, because the more air movement, the more microbes, mold, spores within that air can get into your cultures, which we don't want. So, still air box, very easy to build. You can get a tote, cut 2 armholes in it, and you're good to go. An important part of an SAB is a rack to lift from the bottom. You don't want your plates touching the bare floor. More surface area means more opportunity for microbes to crawl up the sides of the petri dish or whatever you have on here and get into your culture. So first things first, still air box, get yourself a little wire rack to elevate it from the bottom of the surface. Next, we're going to talk about cleaning your SAB. There are multiple ways to go about it. I'm going to talk about 3 main ways. You can use 70% isopropyl alcohol and just douse your tub. It's great against killing microbes and bacteria, not as much so as mold spores, but it still works great. An important part of when you're using isopropyl alcohol is to let it evaporate. That's a very important part. So let's say I douse this entire place, right? And I'm so eager and I just want to jump right in. So I jump right in and I flame sterilize my blade. Bam! There's isopropyl alcohol vapors all up in this. And that could result in a possible mini explosion. So it's important to let that evaporate, give it time to sit, and then you can go about your whatever project you're going to work on. The next one we're going to talk about is hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide doesn't evaporate as quickly as isopropyl, but it works more efficiently against mold spores and mold specifically. So same concept, you just douse your tub, let it sit for 10 to 30 minutes to get the best efficiency of the hydrogen peroxide. And then if there's any more residue, which happens, you can just get a paper towel with some hydrogen peroxide or isopropyl and just wipe it down. The last one I'm going to talk about is UVC. So you can get a UVC bulb. Let me bring this in here real quick. Here I have a UVC bulb, right? And you can just set this inside your SAB, turn it on, and let it sit for anywhere from 30 to 120 minutes is what I researched. It says different mold spores and different molds are resistant to different amounts of UVC. So some die off rather quickly in seconds, and others they said upwards of 8,000 seconds, which is a while. So I typically do it for 15 to 30 minutes, and then again I'll douse all my stuff in ISO just to make extra safe, right? So that's just how you can clean your SAB. Let's talk about some equipment, right? So you can see here I have tweezers, some different kinds of tweezers, one with a little bend in it, one that's just straight. I have a scalpel handle. This is a number 7 scalpel handle. It's a number 7 versus a number 3 or 4. Number 3 or 4 is going to be about this long, nothing too crazy. The longer the handle, the better, because we're going to be working with agar, and we don't want our organic skin cells and our hands near any open air agar, and I'll talk about that in just a second. As regarding to blades, we are using a straight blade, a number 11 specifically. I like the straight blades, but I've seen people use a hooked edge blade, which I think is a number 12. Some people like it, it's just really preference. Point being, there's plenty of blade options that you can use. I just happen to like the straight blade one. Next up, we got lighters. You can use a lighter, a torch, an induction coil, something that can heat your blade up real hot to flame sterilize it or heat sterilize it, right? So if I'm doing it with a lighter, you want to give it some time to get real piping hot, like so. I have an induction coil, but it recently burnt out on me, so I'm going to have to replace that. But any way to heat sterilize your blade works fantastic. Last, as far as the equipment goes, we're going to talk about parafilm versus grafting tape. I have grafting tape. Parafilm, it's like $27 per roll. Meanwhile, grafting tape, you can get 2 of these rolls. These things last forever for $6. They both allow gas exchange without letting any moisture out, and a lot of local gardening stores or nurseries for trees have grafting tape. and not a lot of nurseries or gardening stores have parafilm exactly. So there's the equipment we're going to be using today, obviously the Agar plates as well. All right, let's talk about air movement and airspace, okay? So while we're in the SAB, the whole point of an SAB is still air, okay? So we're a giant working in a microbiotic world. Think about it that way. Imagine there was a giant hand above your house moving just a little bit. It would generate massive gusts of wind, possibly blow your house down like the big bad wolf, okay? And we don't want that. So let's say we're working with some agar and we open this up, we have the lid off. I do not want to move any of my body parts, phalanges, whatever. I don't want to move any of that above the open agar because there's a chance that maybe something that hooked onto my glove and it could just drop into there. Or if I reach like this, maybe a little piece of my skin, we're constantly flaking skin cells, could possibly fall in there. And if you go outside quite a bit, you could possibly be bringing trichoderma into your lab. Trichoderma is abundant in day-to-day life. It's in fact, it can get in our lungs and stay in our lungs for quite a while. Doesn't affect us at all, but it affects our growth. So there's that. Another thing to keep in mind is right now, I'm talking a lot, but my plates aren't open. When my plates open up, I have a mask that I'm wearing, and I'm gonna mask up. You'll notice a major difference in sound. If you don't have a mask, I just recommend not talking because you don't want any excess air movement flowing in through the hand holes into your plates, into your cultures, right? Another thing, you notice I'm wearing gloves. Very important. Again, with the skin cells, we are constantly shedding skin cells off, and again, you don't know what's exactly in your skin, what's underneath your skin precisely, and we don't want whatever that is inside of our cultures. Before I even got in the lab, I took a shower. That's a good thing to do. It's a good practice. Treat this as if you're doing surgery. Just wash up, get all nice and clean, get all those daily life germs, microbiota, etc. off as best you can. That way when you're entering your lab or wherever you have your SAB, you are as clean as possibly can be, right? I got a piece of paper over here that I put some notes on. All right, so we're gonna jump right in with all that information. So another thing to do before you get into your SAB is to spray yourself down with ISO. Note you should probably have some lotion nearby afterwards because this stuff does dry out your skin quite a bit. And all right, I'm gonna put my mask on. You can hear quite a big difference in the sound. I am wearing quite a heavy mask. The blue masks work fine, but I just prefer to have a heavier duty mask, be safer than sorry. It's a personal preference, that's really all. All right, so let's get started. We're gonna start with an agar to agar transfer, okay? So, agar to agar transfers are quite simple. I've done them in a past video, but we'll just go over it one more time just for the sake of the video. So step one, what we're gonna do is unwrap our plates, set them there. I throw my trash on the ground. Another note, when you're coming in and out of the air box, don't be too quick with it. Right? Again, still air. Don't be too fast, just going nice and slow. Like you're moving through water almost, okay? All right. So, next what you're gonna do, flame sterilize your blade. Get it nice and warm, nice and hot. All right. And a lot of people will dunk their hot blade into isopropyl. I just choose to go about it this way. Just stab, 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 stab a couple times. Get the tip a little cooled down. And then we're just gonna cut a little piece of this agar out. You'll notice I'm not opening the lid fully. I'm holding it with one hand, just cracking it open barely, and ta-da. Putting it inside the other empty plate, just like so. And then what we'll do is we'll wrap our plates back up. This is obviously a little excessive, but some people just do one little thing of grafting tape. Others do a lot. I'm on a little bit of the latter side. All right. Next step, very important step. And a lot of people don't do this. I know some people that don't, and it kind of bothers me. Labeling. Oh my gosh, labeling. I love it. So today's the 5th, I think, right? All right. Nutcracker. This is, let's see. If I remember correctly, this is F0. F is for filial generation, which means a culture that has originated from spores. T, meaning transfer number, what we just did, transfer, how many times it's been transferred. This is, my best of my knowledge, this is transfer 4. C for clone, if this is a clone, we would write C1. This is not a clone, C0. And at the end, I like to add where it originated from. So we'll put LC. So you can see it says this the 5th of July, 2024, Nutcracker. Let's see if I can get that into focus a little bit. Nutcracker, F0, T4, C0, LC. And that is just a brief go around at the labeling. Right. So then we'll take those out of our SAB, set them to the side. All right, next what we're gonna do is how to do a liquid culture syringe or spore syringe to agar. So I'm outside the tub, spraying down my LC bag. Let's see if I can get this open. It's a little tricky with gloves on. There we go. All right. Again, spraying the syringe once I get it out. Spraying my arms and my gloves down again real quick. Can never be too sterile. Can never be too sterile, okay? Mind you, when I introduced all my equipment in here, it was sitting in the UVC. I'm not too worried about it, but if you don't have a UVC, make sure to spray down your tweezers, spray down your lighters, spray down your plates, all with isopropyl. All right. We have a liquid culture syringe here. If you can see, there's quite a bit of mycelium throughout the culture there. So we're gonna do the same thing as we did last time. Grab our agar plate. If you have a multi-spore syringe, it's very important to shake the ever-living crap out of it to just get those spores as best homogenized within the liquid in the syringe. This is a liquid culture syringe, and it is pretty chock full of liquid culture. But for the sake of example, we'll go ahead and shake it a little bit. What I'm doing outside here is I got it holding on the end, and I just kind of tap it between my two fingers. You can hear that. Let's listen to ASMR. And that works wonders, right? And just because I brought it outside the SAB and I did shake it, I'm going to spray it again with some Myco. Again, can never be too careful. All right, so there's a couple ways of doing it. This is the way that I prefer. You can use the syringe that they provide you, and then again, if you use the syringe, you have to flame sterilize it. However, this is chock full, so what we're going to do, take the little cap off here, like so. We'll set that there, and then open it, and we're just going to squeeze the sides. It's got to drop, drop, drop. I do 2 to 3, and that is all you need, my friends. All right. Again, we're going to go back here, grab our grafting tape. so. Beautiful. And once again, we're going to label it. Grab this real quick. Okay, so moving all around. All right, 07, 05, 24, Z string, F0, T0, C0, LC. And that is what we would write for the first one. And then what I also like to do when you do multi-spore syringe, liquid culture syringe to the agar, is just swirl it around a little bit. Let all that LC or that multi-spore liquid, let that get all around the plate so it'll colonize faster. All right, just like that, there's how to put a liquid culture syringe or a multi-spore syringe to agar. We'll take that out of our SAB, set that to the side. All right, and lastly, we're gonna do how to do a grab and drag. Okay, for those who don't know, grab and drag is where we get a, let me sanitize this real quick. And you know what, I'm gonna sanitize this. Toss that in there, sanitize myself. Right? Okay, so a grab and drag. A grab and drag is where you have a multi-spore syringe, or not multi-spore syringe, multi-spore swab, sorry. And what we're gonna do is the goal here is to get a monokaryon, which is a whole nother video. A monokaryon, in simple terms, is it's half the genetic material to make a fruit, considering it'd be similar to just having, instead of a sperm and an egg, which is most mycelium that you buy is dikaryotic, which means it has enough DNA on both sides of fruit. It'd be equivalent to a sperm and an egg combining, right? However, with a grab and drag, our goal is to just get the egg, or our goal is just to get the sperm. Obviously, with fungi, there are no sexes of egg and sperm, but for the sake of example, that is how we'll explain it for the time being. All right. So we have WOMTAT. So we're gonna undo this a little bit, right? Set that there. Same drill. Unwrap our plate. Set it there. And the way we go about doing a grab and drag is very important of the process, right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna flame sterilize our blade. We're gonna cut a little section into the swab. We are then gonna grab some tweezers, flame sterilize, let them cool off a little bit. And then we're gonna grab that piece of swab with spores on it. We're gonna grab it, stick it into the agar, drag. Pick up, stick it in the agar, drag. We're gonna do anywhere between 4 to 5. I've seen people just do 3 different grab and drags, I guess you could say. All right. And then what we're gonna see over the coming weeks is we're gonna leave the piece of swab in there, in fact, right? And so what's happening is it's leaving a little trail of single spores as you drag it through the agar, right? You're dragging it and it's leaving a trail of spores. And each one of those spores will turn into mycelium, monokaryotic mycelium, mind you. And so after 1 to 2 weeks, after checking every 2 to 3 days, we will begin to see small, tiny cultures pop up. And they will be so tiny, they'll be a little translucent, and you'll think, oh, something's growing there. However, it is important that you transfer that little tiny monokaryotic colony into another plate. Let's say there's 2 monokaryotic colonies growing mycelium, right? Well, let's say these 2 touch and they combine. Bam, that is no longer a monokaryon. They dikaryotize. One donates a nuclei and then they start doing meiosis, right? Either way, we do not want those 2 colonies to touch. So it's very important to keep an eye on them for the first 1 to 2 weeks, for every 2 to 3 days. Once you see that little tiny culture or the first one pop up, then you want to be checking it every day. Once you see one pop up, they're all going to start popping up more quickly and quickly, okay? And again, you'll transfer it, agar to agar transfer to another plate. And in theory, in that plate will be that monokaryotic mycelium. And once you have monokaryotic mycelium, You can grow it out, and it should be homogeneous. It will never fruit. Again, it pretends it's a sperm and an egg. This is just a plate full of the sperm, and without the egg, it cannot make a baby. So monokaryon cannot fruit ever. And if we get a monokaryon, I'll do a video on what to look for when looking for a monokaryon in a microscope. All right, enough of the nomenclature. Let's get started. So again, we're going to grab a swab here. Okay, let's sit it right there. Going to grab our blade. Flame sterilizing per usual. All right. And you may be wondering, why aren't we just swabbing it to the agar? That's going to leave a lot of agar juices on this swab, and this is a sterile swab. We don't want to get any sort of possibility of this becoming not sterile, because then, no matter what we put it on, it'll contaminate. So I'm going one from the top, one from the bottom. Sometimes I can do the side. If I can't do the side, I'll just do from the bottom still. All right, like such. Set that down. We'll set that back right there. Grab our tweezers here. Flame sterilize. Alright, let those cool down for a quick second. While those cool down, we're staying relatively still. Still air box, still air. Alright, looks good. So then we're going to pluck that swab there. Set that to the side. All right, we have a tiny piece of spore swab. Grab our plate. This one we can do a little bit more open. Stab, drag, stab, drag, stab, drag, stab, drag. And if you can, try to leave that little piece of swab in there. If it holds on, no biggie. There's a little piece of swab anyways. This little piece of swab we don't want anymore. So we'll just go ahead and char it off. Burn, baby, burn. Much easier with an induction coil. It goes much faster. But hey, not everyone has access to an induction coil, so that's fine. There's proof that you can do it with a lighter. Alright. And then we'll grab our swab, pop it back in there for future use, tape it back down. We'll grab our grafting tape, and we will wrap it up. So again, I'm going to be paying attention to this for the next 1 to 2 weeks, every 2 to 3 days, checking on it. I'm going to be storing this upside down, possibly on a slight heating mat just to clear up any condensation, so it makes it easier to see what's going on with the spores. And again, we're going to go. This is Womtat. Yep, Womtat. Grab and drag. Alright, that's all I write for grab and drag. I just write grab and drag. Once I start doing transfers, whatnot, then I will go about doing T1, etc. Alright, so that's how you do a grab and drag. Pretty simple. And again, once we see the first colonies of that, we are going to transfer it immediately to a clean plate. And if there's multiple little colonies, transfer them all. Transfer them all by all means. The more you try to transfer them, the more the more transfers you do, I guess you could say, the better luck and the better chance of success. Okay? So yeah, that is a video on SAB etiquette. Hope you guys enjoy that. Try to keep it pretty straightforward. Try to keep it pretty explanatory for all the things we did. Tune into my other videos for sure. If you guys would like to see any other videos, go ahead and leave a comment or a request, or you can DM me on Discord. If there are any mycologists out there that are interested in Discord or getting into a community about mycology, I run a server called Jacked Mycology. Feel free to comment and I can DM you a link. Whatever you need. We have a great community. I'm very proud of the Myco family we have cultivated there. And yeah, tune into the next video. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but we'll figure it out. And thanks for watching, guys.